Wait, there was a phrase you said like 10 minutes ago that stuck with me and I wanted to ask you about. You talked about, because I've heard this from other people, talked about Japan generally, or in the minds of people, not changing. Like it's very static in a lot of ways. But from what you're describing, it sounds like at least in recent years or post-COVID, has that been changing? Is this like an actual period where you feel like the decades of similarness is changing, or is this part of the same? Like, is there, in your opinion?
I guess my assumption would be like in the wake of COVID, your currency's declining. I have a feeling that pressures on people economically would push people to become more politically active or involved or ask for change in a way they haven't before.
I think that it has made people unhappy, just in general unhappy with the government. They don't know what is the problem, but if you're a young person, if you're my age or your age or the age of your viewers in Japan, you look ahead to the future of Japan and you see a dark abyss, which is the country will be overwhelmingly elderly, and you will be one of the few taxpayers who has to pay for this healthcare system that is very generous to everybody in the country. You don't want to pay taxes. You don't want to, and you see the defense budget's going to go up. Somebody's going to have to pay for that too. You see your currency getting weaker. The prices are going up. Your salary is not going up. A lot of people in Japan, I've been here 20 years, for 20 years, people were okay with just having the same salary every year for 20 years because prices never changed.
Right.
And now they are all changing, and it sucks. And people want the government to do something about it. So I think the reason why the LDP has been losing in recent elections is just because people are fed up and they just want to vote for something that's not the LDP. And the LDP has had scandals. Yes, the Abe assassination and Unification Church scandal was a big one, but maybe bigger than that was a slush fund scandal where they were where members of the party would have fundraising parties and they wouldn't fully report the income from them. And then they would use the money from that unreported funds for God knows what. But those who got caught doing it, they just blamed their low-level staff, and the staff went to prison.
That's beast.
This is how almost all political scandals end in Japan, is with like some low-level person taking the fall, and
or their translator. So their translator was doing
it. They wrote the laws about political funding in a way so that you have to prove that the person was directly knowledgeable of that what they were doing was illegal. So they could just say, "I didn't know it was illegal. Like my staff guy said it was okay, and so I did it." And so seeing this kind of money being used is something that makes voters also unhappy. Like, look at these politicians, they're paid so much and they're still not even reporting things. If I didn't pay my taxes, the government would come after me. If I stole money from my company at work, I'd be fired immediately.
It's wild that you say that though, but then tell me that Takaichi has 80% approval with young people and is popular with old people, and she's LDP and she's...
And her cabinet has people who are in both scandals.
So how did that happen? How does this political miracle happen? I'm trying to...
I think the political apathy of voters has meant that they just think having an outsider like Takaichi, who's not really an outsider. I mean, she is an outsider in that she's not from a political family and she's not from a super rich family. She had to work her way through college and all this stuff. She's a woman in a male-dominated party.
She's all about work, right? That's her whole thing.
Yeah. She I think she said the other day she sleeps 2 hours a night. Do you want somebody to be running a country if they sleep 2 hours a night? I hope she was lying.
You're gonna fall asleep on the nuke button or something.
The previous prime minister was infamously always exhausted because he only had 4 or 5 hours of sleep a night as prime minister. But she's basically saying like, I can do 2. I'm like, look at that weakling. I'm so strong. And people are like, wow, she's so hardworking and she's smiling all the time. The Japanese politicians don't smile. The guys don't smile that much.
I see.
And maybe she feels pressure as a woman to smile or else people will think she's angry, right? There's also that kind of gender bias there. But when she's with Trump smiling so much, a lot of young people are like saying, wow, she seems so much friendlier than the previous prime ministers. And she seems to be pulling off diplomacy so much better. She's hugging people. She's holding hands with people and stuff. And like the previous prime minister seems like the kid in high school who sits in the corner who doesn't talk to anybody. And they have all these memes of him just like at conferences, like looking at his phone, like while other leaders are talking to each other. And
so funny. That's so funny because we would, like on the American side, you would never hear that about Ishiba. I mean, if you heard about him at all, you would never know that he was a shot. That's just a funny thing that what goes viral in each country.
Yeah, I mean, he will be forgotten in like 2 years, basically, in the whole world, sadly. I don't think there was anything wrong with him. I think he was actually a very good human being. Maybe if he had been given a chance to reform the party, he could have, but he wasn't a boss of a faction. He didn't have the institutional support to actually reform the LDP. So he ended up basically giving the scandal politicians a slap on the wrist. Like what he should have done was kick them out of the party and then run alternative LDP candidates with the backing of the local LDP parties. But instead he said, you have to run as an independent in the next election, but we're not even going to run anybody against you. And the local LDP volunteers will help you anyway. And so like that didn't look good to voters, especially when the Communist Party's newspaper reported that party funds were actually being sent to those local party offices to help with the
so just in
activities.
Name only, they were independent.
Yeah. So and some of them won, and then they got invited back into the party immediately. They said, "Oh, the voters decided that they're okay, and we don't need to pursue this scandal anymore." And most voters were not okay with that. Right now, Takaichi's having several of the most dirty of these people in important posts in the government. And I don't think voters have caught on yet, or maybe they just don't care anymore. They're just caught up in the good vibes in the media, and like they talk in the media, like they're like, wow, did you see she had this pen, this pink pen. This is the pen that Takaichi was using when on her first day in office. It's a Jetstream, and it was pink. And on TV news, they're like, this pen is now going viral. Like people are buying it, and like look at the handbag she had. Like and like she was asked about her clothing, and she said she doesn't buy new clothing. This is a jacket from 15 years ago, and people are like, wow, she's so thrifty, and she has this cool pen, and like and like that's like the level of news reporting that's been going on for.
Her vibes are great. Yeah, she's winning me over.
Yeah,
it's all vibes at the end of the day.
All vibes.
That's what's so strange to me is that it's vibes, and that you're saying not much is fundamentally changing underneath it, you know, and again, you compare that to what's going on in American politics, where a whole lot has changed, you know, this year. It's really been different from previous administrations, from previous years. It's so interesting to hear like how much the population seems to respond to just vibes being different. Same people underneath, same policies, but it's fascinating.
Yeah, and another thing though is that the internet right wing is a big thing in Japan. The Twitter is a space that for years, even before Elon, was dominated by like viral right-wing accounts that share sometimes interesting stuff, sometimes racist stuff, sometimes super right-wing stuff. And so these accounts have millions of followers and they go viral all the time, and they love Takaichi. And so you see positive posts about Takaichi going viral all the time now on Twitter. So if you're not even a political person, these are going to show up on your timeline. For example, the other day, one of her ministers was being questioned by the opposition, and he started stammering. He couldn't name exactly what their policy was. So Takaichi was like, sit down, I'll explain it. And she went up and explained it. And they shared this, like, look at how awesome she is. But I mean, she's the one who appointed this dude to be in charge of that policy. But they spun it into like, whoa, the girl boss takes over from this like idiot. Like, she is the greatest prime minister ever.
Okay, so I want to ask, is part of this, in your estimation, a honeymoon period? She's new. Most politicians like this get 100 days, 200 days of grace, where it's like the vibes are more important. And then if prices keep going, you know, if the things that caused her to ride this wave are still there, do you expect...
Well, just curious what you think will actually happen once
we're
through the
it's,
first month.
It's hard to predict, but in the past, there always was a sort of honeymoon period that Japanese prime ministers would get, that they would start off with like over 50% approval rating, or when in the 2000s the LDP lost and the Democratic Party of Japan took over, they had basically Takaichi level support in their first few months, and then they just dropped the ball and everything, and they fell into the 20s and got wrecked by Abe in an election a couple years later. But the thing is, she doesn't have the key to solve this problem, right? The prices are not going to go down. There's no magic wand to wave here. Like, it's a very complicated problem. She is going to pay more for defense, and you can't just print money if you want the end. Yeah. I mean, she is...
If there's this one thing I know this country loves doing.
Yeah. I mean, they can print money. Yes, they can. But then the yen will become even weaker, and the prices will go up for everything also. So, I mean, Japan imports its energy. It imports most of its food. The rice is more expensive now, too. So the rice grown in Japan is double the price it used to be. There are a lot of people who would eat rice every day. So
can I ask about that?
Hold that thought. I heard that's because of the foreigners too.
Yeah, what I wanted to ask is like, so I heard the rice thing was a big issue in this last election. Everyone was talking about the rice. And I heard there was this viral thing that, or some politician said, that the reason it's so expensive is the foreigners are coming here and eating all the rice. And I've seen Doug pound a lot of rice.
Doing a lot of rice. No, there was truth. I was reading that article in this onigiri shop as I was like
bags and bags.
like an anime. He's like,
I literally embarrassingly there's been multiple stores I've been to where I order and then they come back and they say, like, this set already has these items, and I'll be like, oh, chotto ogui, which is like I'm a glutton basically.
And they write it in the newspaper, dude.
Right? Yeah. I mean, but then I follow up, and I was like, of all the food I've eaten in Japan, this is my favorite in Japan. And then they're very happy. Hopefully, maybe they're actually go to the kitchen. They're like, these foreigners.
Right. I mean, you're giving business to restaurants. I mean, yes, tourists are eating rice. Yeah, they're eating rice. People are eating rice. But I think that the core problem of the rice price increase was not tourists eating rice, but I think a year or two ago, the government made this big announcement that, by the way, there's like a slightly increased chance that sometime this year there could be the big one, the big earthquake. As a precaution, these are the things you should have in your house to keep. And then like one of those was like a month's supply of rice. And so on that brief time at the beginning of summer, everybody went out and bought all the rice in the supermarkets, and the market has never recovered since. So they drove up the prices with this, and the rice farmers don't want to sell it for cheaper anymore because they like the prices the way they are now. But there's not a shortage of rice anymore, technically. But the thing is, the government for many decades has seen that the population is declining and has planned by letting farmers know, don't grow too much rice because you're going to grow so much it's going to be too cheap. So they have like a whole chart they have laid out. And then in that 1 year where it suddenly the demand spiked over what it was supposed to be, and they haven't recovered from that. And they're trying to make the rice farmers grow more, but it takes a full year to get your crops out. And people don't want to buy American rice because it sucks. And so, or at least they say it tastes worse, even if it is a Japanese
Everyone
variety.
says that. That's what I've heard. I don't know. I can't figure it out. But
It all tastes the same to me.
I don't want to taste
my
nasty.
dumb American mouth cannot taste the difference in the rice.
I've been here for 20 years, and I sadly cannot tell the difference between premium rice and the cheapo rice.
People would kill you for this.
It's not in my DNA.
Okay.
I know.
All right.
I don't have the Yamato blood.
Can I ask? You brought some props about some parts of Japan.